Shabbat Shalom, everyone. All praises to the Most High YAHUAH Allah and unto our done and Savior YAHUSHA Amashiach. This is your boy, your friend, your brother, Friendship West African Yasharal. Today's topic, lesson, and investigation is going to be about Black Israelite Debunked Part 4, Deuteronomy 28:68 exposed. So I'd advise the viewers to go watch the other videos I've done on this series after this video or before to catch up a little bit and have a context. Now, why Deuteronomy 28:68? Because there's been a rise in people trying to so-called debunk the Black Israelite and saying that the curses of Deuteronomy 28 does not pertain to the Negroes or Black people, and it pertains to the Jewish people or whatever you want to call them. Yeah? So, if you want to make sure that that is the truth, regardless if you believe you're Israelite or if you don't believe Black people are Israelite, if you want to make sure that that is the truth, we need to investigate it and not jump to the conclusion just because we have bias and agendas. So we're going to investigate deep into the scriptures and see what it says. And what I'm trying to do, let's get into it. So for time purposes, I will not start from Deuteronomy 28 verse 1 nor verse 15, but I'll start from verse 45 because the detractors or the opposite side says that, according to them, not all of them, a certain text of them says that from verse 45 all the way to verse 68, it pertains to what happened in 70 AD. And we need to make sure that that is true and accurate according to a script and even according to history. So we'll start from verse 45. Yeah? So Devarim on Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 45. And we read, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of YAHUAH your Allah, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he command you." So, according to what we're reading now, it's clear that if the Israelites mess up, these curses, straight up, they come upon them. They made an oath, basically. So if we don't follow the Most High, these curses come upon us. If we do follow the Most High, these curses stay away from us. Pretty clean, pretty plain. Okay, let's continue. We want to pick it up. Yeah, and we want to Daniel chapter 9 verse 11 as a reference or a precept to see if that's truth. "Yeah, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us. And the oath, like I just told you, that is written in the law of Musa or Moses, the servant of Allah, because we have sinned against him." So we see somewhere else in the script, long time after, the time of Deuteronomy, that this curse still applies to the Israelites if they're messing around, or if they're not listening to the Messiah, whatever you want to put it. Yeah? Understood? Let's go back now. We're going to catch up from Deuteronomy 28, Deuteronomy chapter 28, 1 verse 46 through 53. "And this shall be upon thee, or you, for a sign, and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever." So all generations of Israelites, if they're messing around, if they're not listening to the Most High, if they're sinning, if they're not keeping the Torah, then this curse is going to follow them. And we read forever. So it's not only for 70 AD, or it's not only for the time after they came out of Egypt, Deuteronomy 28 and all that stuff, No, it's forever, all the time. Let's continue. And as far as I can see, the average Jewish people nowadays, they don't look that much cursed. And to be honest, we all know that they're not clean. They're not sinless people, these Jewish people over there. If anything, they have more sins than a lot of people out there. Because you should not know that Tel Aviv is well known for his gay pride, which is, according to the Torah, a sin. And don't strongman me and say, oh, it's not all of them, it's some of them, and da-da-da-da. If one Israelite messes up, according to the script, that's what we're reading all the time in the Torah. If one Israelite messes up and the other let them do their thing, they partake into the sin as well. So, there's something wrong. If anything, they should be in a big trouble right now. If they're the Israelite. Yeah? And another thing, they don't even treat their so-called brothers, yeah, the Ethiopian Jews, our brothers, yes they are. They don't even treat them like actually humans over there. They have a huge problem or racial problems over there. So it's the second sin with all the other sins that all humans struggle with every day. You know what I'm saying? So we're supposed to see them being victims, yeah, of these curses in the law. If they're the Israelites, the so-called Jewish people over there in the land, or white Jews or Kansas, what you want to call them. And we see them, they're owning stuff. They're having a lot of money. They don't look like, you know, they live in ghettos right there, you know what I'm saying? And even here in the West, they seem pretty wealthy in here and healthy. You know what I'm saying? They have establishments and stuff like that. We all know Hollywood and all that stuff. Even the hip-hop industry, you know. Come on, y'all. It's not rocket science. But I'm saying, if they're supposed to be the Israelite, if they sin, sanction straight up. So we're supposed to see them in some sort of bad situation, as far as I can read in the script. Because you can't tell me that they're sinless. You know. So we need to look for some people, yeah, that fit the descriptions. And as far as I know, there's a mysterious group of people somewhere, or should I say everywhere, a group of people that everybody knows, but at the same time everybody don't know them, yeah, that seems to be kind of cursed. You know, they're filling up your prisons, they're always living in, you know, secluded, you know, projects or areas. They're always at the bottom of the society. You know, they're always a victim of the system. They even came up with a, what's it called? Saying something matters. You know what I'm saying? Or something life matters. You know. So, I mean, I let you guess who they are. But, you know, we're looking for people that are cursed. We're looking for people that are having a hard time right now. Because they've sinned. But I digress, I'm talking too much. Let's go back to verse 47. Yeah? And we're going to 53. Because thou serve not YAHUAH your Allah with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemy, which YAHUAH shall send against you in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he hath destroyed you. Now, funny thing, even in your so-called Hollywood movies, you see all the time black people, when they're portrayed in slavery, with chains on their necks, or their hands, or both at the same time, just like we're seeing right now. You know. But that seems to be the same on what we talk right here. But I digress. Anyway, verse 49. YAHUAH shall bring a nation against you from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. This verse is not saying that this nation will have freaking eagles on their flags. This isn't what it says. It says this nation is coming from far, and they come quick, as swift as the eagle flieth, as swift. You know, and check this out. All right, so the slave trade by H. Thomas, chapter 8, right here. Yeah, we're gonna read about the Pendeoral tradition. Look what it's saying. Remember we was talking about as swift as the eagle flieth. They're coming from far, yeah? The white men arrived in ships with wings. Interesting. Sound like Deuteronomy 28. Anyway, one day, the white men arrived in ships with wings, which shone in the sun like knives. They fought hard battles with the Angola and spat fires at him. They conquered his salt pans, and the Angola fled inland to Lukaka rivers. So, Pendeoral tradition, talking about, Congos, Angola, and all that stuff right here. Yeah. West Central Africa. So, they're saying literally that the white men came with ships that has wings. Just like we read in Deuteronomy 28, talking about the enemy coming from far. Yeah. As swift as the eagle. So back to verse 49 now. I was just showing something. I was not trying to, use that as extra evidence. Just to point out something. Yeah. And then finally that verse is saying that same nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So we see that cannot be the Edomite, because we understood the Edomite. Yeah. That's for Hebrews out there. But anyway, that sounds like what happened in the slave trade when the European came to, West Africa. We didn't know them. You know what I'm saying? We could have, talked to them. They had interpreters and all that stuff. Long story. Let's continue. Verse 15 now. A nation of 3 continents, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favors to the young. Sounds a lot familiar to me. And it shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or increase of the kind, or flax, or of thy sheep, until they have destroyed thee. So these people is going to eat you up, literally. Yeah, and we saw that in curses, they on you for a sign and wonder forever. So whosoever is the Israelite, if they're messing around, that's what you got to see in them, even if they're not in Israel. Anyway, I digress. And it shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced wall come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land. And it shall besiege thee in all thy gates, throughout all thy land, which YAHUAH, YAHUAH, hath given you. So that's talking about Israel right there. That's talking about the Holy Land, the Adam HaKodesh, right? And that pertains to what happened in 70 AD, even before that. Let's continue. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which YAHUAH, YAHUAH, hath given you in the siege, and in the straitness, wherein thine enemies shall distress you. Now, just to make you, just to show you that it's not only happened in 70 AD, and it happened before, that's even recorded in the script. Just to show you that it's not only one time that things happened. Yeah? First of all, we just read that all these curses shall come upon you, yeah, and overtake you, and it shall be on your seed forever. So this kind of argument can't even stand realistically. But I'm just going to play the game. Yeah, 2 Kings, chapter 6, 1 verse 25 to 29. And there was a great famine in Samaria, so basically the northern part of Israel, Yasharal. And behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. So it sounds like what's going on today, Corona time, all them prices going up. Anyway, I digress. And the 4th part of the cab of the doves dug for 5 pieces of silver. And as the king of Yasharal, or King Israel, was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my Adon, O king. And he said, if Yahuwah do not help you, when shall I help you? Out of barn floor or out of wine presses? 28. And the king said unto her, what alive thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son, that we may eat him, just like we read in Deuteronomy, today. And we will eat my sons tomorrow. So we boiled my son, and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had had her son. She was evil, just like we read in the script. He become evil. Yeah? So, this saying talking about 70 AD, that's Samaria, right? The time of the Assyrians, way before 70 AD. So just to show y'all that these people are full of crap. Yeah? They're picking and choosing when things are valid or not. And this is what's happening right there. And this is what's happening. This is how it works with the script, first of all. And this is how it works with truth. So it's not whatever I want it to be truth is truth. So I'm telling you, these people have an agenda. Alright, back to Deuteronomy now. So Deuteronomy chapter 28, 1 verse 54, and we'll try to 57. If anything, I'll change in the way. We read, so the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards his wife of his bosom, and towards his remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Sounds a lot familiar as well. 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, just like we read in 2 Kings. Yeah? Because he hath nothing left him in the siege, just like we read now in 2 Kings. And in the straitness wherein thy enemies shall distress you in all thy gates. 57. And toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. So, talking about, like we just read in Kings, when the woman lied and then she didn't eat her son, but she wanted to eat the other woman's son. You see what I'm saying? So, that's discussing us across. But anyway, that's the curses. So, my point, although it was a little long, is that Deuteronomy 28, verse 45 through 68 cannot be only for the time of 70 AD. That would be contradiction, because the text itself says that all the curses they forever upon your seed and upon you. And then somewhere else in the script we see that these things that we saw in Deuteronomy 28 verse 45, yeah, and all the other verses until 68 we have not read, but anyway, that's before 70 AD. So you can't use that as an argument. You know, that makes no sense. End of the story. Now, let's get to the butter of the butter. Deuteronomy, or Divine, chapter 28, 1 verse 62 to 64. And ye shall be left in few numbers, whereas ye were as the stars of the heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey YAHUAH your Elohim. So the Most High is saying, there was a lot of you guys, now y'all gonna shrink, you know. 63. And it shall come to pass, as Yahuwah rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahuwah will rejoice over you to destroy you, because you're not listening. So obviously, it's only right. But anyway, and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou go possess it. So the Israelites mess around, they're sinning, they gotta be kicked out of the land. End of the story. But right now, it's been 50 years plus, yeah, that so-called Jewish people are over there in the land, and they don't seem to be sinless. But I digress. Still think that the Israelite. And YAHUAH shall scatter you among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, other Elohim, which neither thou, you basically, nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. You know, funny thing is that everywhere black people scattered at, they are the Christians or they are the Muslims. Yeah, they're barely freaking atheist or Buddhist or whatever, but most times they're one of the two. And you know, funny thing, Christians walk around with crosses of wood or whatever, and then the Islamic part, they worship in the stone over there in Arabia, the land of the Edomites. But anyway, and just to clarify, the Most High said that we'll be scattered among all people from one end of the earth to the other. And we're going to dip into the Hebrew. Yeah? Now, check this out. We got our people over there scattered in India. And we're not talking about Indians. We're talking about Negroes like us. Yeah? They look just like me. Some of them. Literally. Over there in India. And they call the cities the cities. Yeah? We got our people over there in Argentina. Afro-Argentines. Yeah? We're talking about Afro-Colombians, Afro-Brazilians, and all of the above Panamanians, and so on and so forth. You know, we got our people over there in the U.S. And a lot of you probably watching over there in the U.S. So you already know. You know, so we're scattered everywhere. We are scattered everywhere. And we're still in Deuteronomy verse 64. And we're talking about that Hebrew word, yeah, from one end of the earth to the other. And the word in Hebrew is cassette. Cassette. You know, 1797. The extremity. Far places, basically. The end, extremity. Cassette. Just to clarify, because that word appears in other passages of the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And these passages strangely corroborate with that same verse. But anyway, I explain. So age 97, Hebrew, cassette. The end, the extremity. Keep that word in mind. You can go watch my video about scattered to the fourth corners of the earth. Yeah, I'll put him in the description below, like I said. And also, you know, if you want to have a deeper understanding on that subject. And I give great information about people that are scattered from other countries. You know, there's people even scattered all the way to Madagascar. How about that? So yes, we literally been scattered everywhere. There's no other nation that has this testimony. I mean, some of y'all don't think we're a nation, black people, but anyway. Either the way, there is no other group of people that has this testimony. The Indians, they have not been scattered. They left their places because they wanted opportunities. Just like the Chinese, just like the white people, they wanted colonizing and all that stuff. But black people did not want to. We've been scattered, literally. We never asked for it. Or technically not. I want to put it that way. You know. But if you're Israelite, you understand that because it's not our forefathers and all that stuff. But either other way, same difference. We're the only people that have been scattered everywhere in the world. In Europe. For those who don't know, the first slaves were not taken straight to Africa. They were taken to Europe first, then to the Americas, excuse me. So this is cool, some of y'all. Alright. We're going to get some more understanding. We left from Deuteronomy 28 verse 64, talking about people will be scattered from one end of the earth to the other. And then we need to get some more understanding from the script, because this thing, yeah, is extremely important to understand. It will tell you who are the real Israel realistically, if you catch it from there. So Yasharal or Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 3 to 6. For I am Yahuwah, your Allah, the Holy One of Yasharal, or Israel, thy Savior. I give Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia, or Cush, and Seba for you. Verse 4. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore, I will give men for you, and people for thy life. So the Most High is saying that he's ready to get rid of other nations for the Israelite. He did it before. He's basically reminding you. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring thy seed from the east, and gather thee from the west. A bit like us. We scattered everywhere, east and west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons and my daughters from the ends of the earth. So funny thing, we need to go check the Hebrew word again. So you see, bring my sons and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Isaiah chapter 42 verse 6 that we just read. You're going to check the Hebrew. Cassette again. Funny thing, it seems this is the fulfillment of the curse, basically. If you think critically, that's what it is. Am I tripping? We've been told in Deuteronomy 28 verse 64 that the Israelite, you mess around, I'll put curses on you and all that stuff, so the Most High says, then it scatter you to the four corners of the earth, from one end to the earth to the other. Then right here, we're reading this prophecy of Isaiah. He's saying that, the Most High will bring his people from the ends of the earth. So the whole thing seems to puzzle up perfectly. But people are making it complicated because you have an agenda. And you ain't fighting for truth, but you're fighting for religions and white supremacies and all that nonsense. But we don't need you to tell us. We know. We got brains on our own. People like me can think. We're not all stupid. Even though you believe that all black people are stupid, guess what? News alert. No, not all of us are stupid. We can read Hebrew as well. Let's catch back up again. Let's read that again. Yasharal chapter 3 verse 6. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. So, it seems a lot like what we heard in Deuteronomy chapter 20 verse 64. And even if he was trying to say that this still pertains to the Jewish people, it's not working because of verse 7, in Isaiah 43, it says that everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him, for my glory I have formed him, I formed him. So, he says all of them, all of the Israelites. The Jewish people say there are only 3 tribes. Yeah, and if that's when they're counting the Ethiopian Jews, that could be the tribe of Dan, according to them. So, here we go. It's not working. We want all of the Israelites. So we know it's not end times, and we know it's not happened to the Jewish people. And they don't seem to be scattered right now. But anyway, we want Ezekiel chapter 20 verse 33 and 3 to 34. As I live, saith Yahuwah, our Lord, surely with a mighty hand we will stretch our arm, and with fury pour out, I will rule over you. 34. And I will bring you from the people, and I will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered. Just like that. With a mighty hand, and we will stretch our arm, and with fury poured out. Just like we read in Deuteronomy 20 verse 64. Yeah, Yahuwah shall scatter you among all people from one end of the earth to the other. Sounds familiar again and again. Let's continue in Ezekiel 91 verse 35 to 37. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there I will plead with you face to face. So this has not happened yet. You can't tell me, because I don't know. I have not seen anywhere that the Jewish people have pleaded with the Most High again, just like they did in the time of Mount Sinai and all that stuff. So you can't say that happened. So if you put 2 and 2 together and you use your brain, this means that the Israelites are not in the land, according to the script. at the end of times. Let's continue, verse 36. Like as I plead with you, or your fathers, in the wilderness of the land of Mizraim or Egypt, so I will plead with you, saith Yahuwah. I said the same thing, you see? 37. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the band of the covenant. That had not happened to these Jewish people. I'm sorry. So even if you want to say that's them, they need to go out of the land again and go somewhere else. It will be scattered again. As far as I can see right now, they look very comfortable over there. It's been 50 years plus. Anyway. 38. And I purge out from among you the rebels, just to, cherry on the top. So I'll purge out among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. And I will bring them forth out of the countries where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I'm Yahuwah. So we know for a fact that that's not how it happened, because they're still rebels. I showed you the freaking gay pride and all that stuff, and the racism that they exercise on what they call their brothers, the Ethiopian Jews, which is our people, realistically. So they're still sitting. They're still rebels, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So this has not happened yet. It's not possible. 1. And 2, we're told that they're supposed to be gathered from the countries. Unless you want to say that, well, they gotta be gathered and then they gotta come, be a bit bad, then he's gonna take care of them. I mean, it sounds a lot ludicrous to me. But anyway, like I said, continue. Isaiah, or Yasharal, chapter 11, 1 verse 12. Check this out. And he shall set up an sign for the nations. So there's going to be a signal for the nation, basically, to know. And he shall resemble the outcasts of Israel, and they gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. We just read that the Israel got to be gathered again from the countries. In Ezekiel, we read that in Deuteronomy 28 verse 64, that they're going to be scattered because they're not listening to the Most High from one end of the earth to the other. Now we're reading that at the four corners of the earth, there's Judah, right here, from the four corners of the earth, and Israel, they're somewhere else, they're not together. So I'm killing two birds with one stone, you see what I'm saying? Because the stupid ass, as I said it, that stupid ass Twitter chart that people trying to, come up with, talking about everybody's in America, which makes no sense, killing it right there, and killing this false thing about these so-called Jewish people, because they're not dispersed in the four corners of the earth, as far as we know. They're over there in the land. So if they were the true people, all of them prophecies right here make no sense. Realistically, because they say they're Judah, the Jewish people over there in the land. They're not saying that they're 10 lost tribes. But the Most High, to his word of his prophets, he says that at the end of times, Judah, they come from the four corners of the earth, which corroborate with everything we've read so far. So who's right? Who is right? I'm asking you. Who is right? The curse of Deuteronomy 28, the people are scattered. If they're sitting, they get out of the land, and then they're scattered. That has happened multiple times in the script. Once again and again. Alright, so now we're going to pick back up. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64 to 67. And Yahuwah shall scatter thee among all the people, from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor your fathers have known, even with a stone. So we already established what it looks like, who he looks like, basically. 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the soul of thy foot have rest, but Yahuwah shall give thee there a trembling heart and a failing eyes, and sorrow of mind. Because you with your enemies, so they're gonna deal with you, like you do with your enemies. Keep it moving. Verse 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt have none assurance of thy life. Just like the day of black people, in the streets and all that stuff, or even not even that. You come in like your house, you don't even know if you're gonna be the next George Floyd or Michael Brown or whatever, and you not even need to be in America. Here in UK, in France, in Portugal, or black people is the same. You don't know if police coming to you, and you might be the next one on the news, on the next black dude on the news. See what I'm saying? Or you don't even know if one of your brother might kill you because you looked at him in the streets or whatever. So, same difference. I'm just saying it seems familiar to me. Yeah? In the morning, thou shalt say, would God were heathen. And at eve thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes where thou shalt see. 58 now. And YAHUAH shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto you. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there it shall be sold unto your enemies, not your friends, your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now this is where the whole controversy lies. People say, oh, it says sell yourself or whatever. I have the Death Scrolls right there in my house. It says sell yourself. So what? So what? You're still giving yourself to your enemies. So anybody that's got their enemies in their positions, they're going to do a lot of things to them. Now, the second thing is like, oh, it shall buy you. This means that, in 70 AD, they didn't want to buy the Jewish slaves and all that stuff. Your enemies got you in their possessions, and they're not going to do anything to you. You're giving yourself to your enemies, and they're not going to do anything to you. These ain't your enemies, that's a friend. Or that's somebody that doesn't even, care about you. But, let us continue. So before we try to debunk verse 68 of Deuteronomy 28, which is the purpose of the whole video, we're also going to, use our brains and gather all the information that we had so far. So, number one, Deuteronomy 28 verse 64, the Israelites are scattered from one end of the earth to the other. Then we read, right after in Isaiah, 42 verse 6, Isaiah 11 verse 12, and Ezekiel 20 verse 33 to 38, that the Israelites are coming from far away. Yeah, same Hebrew word was used as well, cassette, back to the Holy Land at the end of time. So we can only conclude that Deuteronomy verse 28 verse 64 is talking about the Israelites being scattered. So when you go down to verse 68, it's the same thing that's talking about right there. It's not some next prophecy. So it's not some complete different prophecy, and it's not the same context. In the context of things, what I'm trying to say is that you're already reading that the Israelites are scattered from one end of the earth to the other. So when you continue to read and you read 68 and you read that people are going back in ships to Egypt, it's the same event. Now you can agree that's not the same, but if you want to keep in context, it seems the same. And I'm going to elaborate a bit more later so you can see that it is the same. And that these places that these Israel be scattered at in 64, they are spiritually Egypt. So it's not only one Egypt now, it's different Egypts. That might sound crazy right now for some new people, but stay tuned, or at least hear my point. And if you think further, we can only conclude with all the evidence that the Israelites need to be scattered by ships anyway. Because for you to be from one end to the earth to the other, there's a lot of water on earth. So obviously at one point, if you're going to be a cassette or the extremity of the earth, you're going to pass by the water, my friend. So once again, Who are the people that have passed a body of water to go to a place where they be scattered at and they be slaves at? Even if they give themselves up. How about that? But let's just think that we're not right. So let's examine the whole thing now. Let's go back. Deuteronomy chapter 20 verse 16 and read again. And YAHUAH shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto you. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. We're not even going to go over the whole, it says sold themselves or whatever. Let's say it says it. So what? Like I said. So what? Now this word right here, when they say buy you, they say it literally means buy. We also going to check that. It's time to expose verse 68. That's the whole purpose of the video. But I needed to stop on somewhere for you to understand a little bit. For those who follow. So we're going to read Nehemiah chapter 5 verse 8. Do you know why we're going to read that? Because that word used to say no man shall buy you in verse 68 is the same word, the Hebrew word used right here. In what context is used now? And I said unto them, we after our abilities have redeemed, saved our brethren, the Yahudi, which were sold unto the heathens. And will ye even sell your brethren, or shall they be sold unto us? Then held they their peace, and found nothing to answer. Yeah? Now, let's see that word used in Hebrew. Nehemiah chapter 5 verse 8. Redeem. Boom. Kana. Age 7069. To get to acquire. And we read right here that it's used 23 times, more than anything else, to say buy. But one time reading, which is right here, and one time recovered. Yeah? Alright. Alright, so let's continue. We want another evidence when the word is used in from same context of slavery or whatever. Scattered or whatever. So Isaiah chapter 11 verse 11. Remember we read verse 12 earlier on? That's verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that YAHUAH, so the Most High himself, shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Mizraim, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the island of the sea. Different Bible verses or versions say different things, you know what I'm saying? But what we want to know is what word is used right there. Remember, the Most High said he will recover them himself. Check this out. Once again, that word right here, we just read earlier, Kana. You see? Same word again. That same word that is used for Deuteronomy 20 verse 68. Redeem, recover. And this is two instances where the word was used. But the context is used to talking about the Israel being liberated. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I'm actually trying to say. So there's two odd times when that word is used for. In the only two odd times, where realistically it should be three, he's talking about people being saved from slavery. Or being regathered. As opposed to being scattered. So our point when we're saying that this verse is saying, no man shall buy you, no man shall save you, we are right. We are. And the reason why I'm saying we are right is because we can use that as witnesses. According to the script, 2 witnesses is enough to establish truth. They're saying exactly what we're trying to say. These two witnesses that I just bring, Isaiah and Nehemiah. These two instances when the word kasa or kaha is used, is to talking about Israel being liberated. So, what's wrong when we're saying that the same word that is used to talking about buy does not mean literally buy, but it means to be saved? What is wrong with that point? Truth shall be established by two witnesses, according to Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, or Corinthians Shanin, chapter 1, verse 13, and Devarim, or Deuteronomy, chapter 19, verse 15. Torah says it, that you gotta use two witnesses to establish truth. So if we were in the Supreme Court of Israel, who would be right? Them or us? Bring the witnesses though. Valid witnesses, yeah, not false witness, because then it's sin. But anyway, let's continue. We're going back to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 68. Because we got to pick it up with this thing of Egypt, basically. That's what I want to explain now. And YAHUAH shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. We expose the buy you thing. We can assert that it means saved with everything that we gathered. Now, is he talking about little Egypt? Is it? Yes or not? Verse 64 said that we will be scattered at the four corners of the earth anyway. We see the end time prophecy. These will come back from the ends of the earth. Just like right here in Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 64. 9 verse 68 that we're reading, we're told that the Israel will go back to Egypt eventually with ships. Use our brains one more time to go to these places where you scatter from the end of the earth. You must pass some bodies of water, realistically, if you take it literally. So it's only right that these places are Egypt, and then now we're going to need ships to go there. That doesn't mean that what happened in 70 AD didn't happen in real life, but why not our point as well? Does that make sense? So it can only work for them, but not for us. But I'm not even asking them anything. I'm just telling them and showing them their lives. I'm not here to convince people anyway. It's not what I do, but I'm showing you. But let us prove that some places can be called, named spiritually. It is. Revelations chapter 11 verse 8, or Kisayam chapter 11 verse 8. And the dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord, or Adon, was crucified. So the city where Mashiach was crucified is what? Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. So how is it spiritually called Sodom in Egypt? And second point, she wants to say that to an Israelite, and even to the average Christian today. What does Sodom represent? Sin. Well, a small portion of people will say, oh, homosexuals, whatever. But a steady person, another script, will say sin, disobedience. What does Egypt represent? Slavery, because the Israel was slaved over there. Servitude. So if you want to put the two and two together, they're saying that Jerusalem is spiritually a city of slaves to sin. Literally. So what we're reading right there is not crazy. So when we're saying that this Egypt is spiritually Egypt, we're not tripping. Let's continue. It's fine. Let's see another instance when they're saying something is spiritually called a different name. Isaiah chapter 1 and 1 verse 9 to the 10. Except YAHUAH of hosts had left unto us very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, so we'll be destroyed basically, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah, Verse 10 now. Hear the words of YAHUAH, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ears unto the law of YAHUAH, ye people of Gomorrah. So you disobedient people, literally. And this is talking to the Israelites. We know that there ain't nobody from Sodom and Gomorrah anymore. Yeah? So, things can be called other things spiritually. People are trying to strongman us. Strongman arguments and all this stuff. What kind of nonsense is that? Come on. I just showed you that they called some places Egypt and somewhere else spiritually. So why can't you work for Deuteronomy 28? Or maybe you don't want it to work because it exposes your freaking deeds that you do in the dark. Your racist heart. And all that stuff. Your racist agenda and all that stuff. Yeah. Because me, I got Yahuwah's agenda. I don't have black power agenda or African agenda. I have Yahuwah's agenda, me. That's why I'm doing this kind of videos though. The difference between me and you. Let's continue. Now we can show the real meaning. Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 8. Because YAHUAH loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath YAHUAH brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hands of Pharaoh, English if you want, king of Egypt, Mizraim. So now they're referring to Egypt as the house of what? Of bondmen, of slavery. Another instance in the script, come on, Shemot, or Exodus 13 verse 3. And Moshe, or Moses, said unto the people, remember this day in which he came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of the hand of YAHUAH brought you out from this place. There shall no living bread be eaten. Here we go. So once again, referring to Egypt as the house of bondage, bondmen, slavery, servitude. You know. So our point, you can't say that we're lying when we're saying that this verse may refer to Egypt being, you know, a spiritual place for slavery. You just read it in the freaking Kazayam or Revelations. I thought y'all was Christians and you believe in the script. You know, it could work if you were Jewish and then you don't believe in the New Testament. And even so, it doesn't work neither. I exposed it already. So, you know, double tapped. Conclusion. This one is a cherry on the top of the cake. Yeah. So, how do we know that these places, for sure, they're spiritual Egypt? These places where the Israelites scattered at. Because the plagues of Egypt are going to drop on them at the end of times. Why? So, in the first place, why did the plagues of Egypt drop on the Egyptian? Let us read. Yeah, you want Shemot, Exodus chapter 3 verse 18. And they shall hearken to your voice, and thou shalt come, and thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, YAHUAH of the Hebrews have met with us, and now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice unto YAHUAH. So that's when Moses said, look, you're going to go to Egypt, to Moses. He's saying, yeah, you're going to tell them, let us go. But they're not going to. Let's continue. Exodus chapter 3 verse 19. I am sure that the king of Mizraim or Egypt will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. Verse 29. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all wonders which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that he will let you go. So the reason why there was plagues is because Pharaoh didn't want to let the Israelites go. That's why. He was stubborn. That's why you got plagues. So the same thing is going to happen for the whole world. Because all of y'all got the Israelites with you, and you don't want to let them go. Even if you say, go back to Africa, you still don't want to let them go. How about that? But let me show you. Revelations chapter 8, 1 verse 8 through 9. And the second angel sounded, and it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. Let's go to the Torah and see if something like this happened before. Shemot chapter 7 and 1 verse 20. And Moses and Aaron did so, and Yahuwah commanded, and he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the rivers, just like we heard a mountain drop in the sea, in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned into blood. Yeah? So same thing. That's quite strange to me. Let us continue. We're on Revelations chapter 16, verse 13 to 14. And I saw 3 unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophets. Frogs, yeah? For they are spirits of the devil, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of Yahuwah Almighty. Yeah? So everybody gonna be contaminated by these frogs, basically. That's what it is. Exodus 1 chapter 8, or Shema chapter 8 verse 6. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, of Mizraim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. So once again, frogs, water turning to blood, the same things. Not the same way, but the same things though. And this happened to the whole world when in the time of Revelation. Revelation, Zion, chapter 16, 1 verse 10 to 11. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the sea of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gone their tongue for pain, and blasphemed to Yahuwah of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not for their deeds. So pick back up again, the whole world turned to darkness, basically. Yeah, so it is. Let's go to Shemot. Or you do this, chapter 10 verse 21. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Mizraim, even darkness which may be felt. The same thing. The same damn thing. And like we said, like we read, all of that is happening because they don't want to let the Israelites go in time of Egypt. Now, same thing is happening in the time of, what's it called? Revelation, on the end of the days. Because what? Because they still don't want to let the Israelites go. And on top of that, they're full of sin. So, double punishment for the world. Keep it up. Come on. Revelations chapter 9, 1 verse 3 to 4. And they came out of the smoke, locusts, upon the earth. And unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. Verse 4. And it was commanded to them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green things, or neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Yahuwah in their foreheads. Let's go to Shemot Exodus chapter 10 verse 4. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring the locusts into thy coast. In a nutshell, we saw that the script and all the evidence point out that these so-called people over there in the land, they are not the chosen. In that all of these curses in Deuteronomy 28, they fit more who you call the Negroes, black people. Only if you're dishonest, you're gonna say that it's not true. But I showed you. Didn't to prove to you, I showed you. And not gonna say when you stand in front of the Mossad or the white thrones and all that stuff, you're not gonna say nobody told you. If you watch this video, you've been informed. So choose your side. People like me, we fighting for truth. Not fighting for power and all of this stuff. Nobody got an inferiority complex and all that stuff. I don't feel inferior to nobody. No superior. That's me personally. So I hope this lesson has been an enlightenment to you. I hope it has changed your heart, whatever you believed. You know, have a blessed day. Today's Shabbat, day of rest. Have a nice rest. And see you for part 5. And once again, Shabbat Shalom.